The pot of water wasn't boiling fast enough, apparently. "You're using too much water," my mother-in-law Constance announced from her perch at my kitchen island, her voice cutting through the dinner prep like a dull knife through tough meat. "And the flame is too high. This is why your pasta is always mushy." I adjusted the heat slightly, not because she was right, but because arguing would make the next 3 hours unbearable. My husband James gave me an apologetic look from where he was setting the table, the same look he'd perfected over 35 years of his mother's culinary critiques. "I don't know why you insist on making fresh pasta," Constance continued, examining her manicured nails. "The box kind is perfectly adequate for someone at your level." My level. I pressed my lips together and continued rolling out the delicate sheets of dough I'd made that morning, the same way I'd learned from an elderly woman in Bologna who'd been making pasta for 70 years. "At least the sauce is store-bought?" She peered at the pot simmering on the back burner, her nose wrinkling. "Oh dear. You're attempting to make your own? Marinara is so tricky, dear. Perhaps I should." "It's under control," I said quietly, folding the pasta sheets with practiced precision. "Is it?" She stood, her designer heels clicking on my kitchen floor as she approached the stove. "Because from here, it looks like you're burning the garlic." "And is that dried basil?" "Oh, Natasha, fresh herbs are essential. This is basic cooking knowledge." I glanced at the bunch of fresh basil from my garden waiting on the cutting board, but said nothing. My phone buzzed on the counter. An email from the Michelin Guide Committee, marked confidential. I'd been expecting it, but not tonight. Not with Constance here to witness whatever news it contained. "Are you going to check that?" Constance asked. "It might be a cooking tutorial video. You could use the help." "Later," I murmured, sliding the pasta into the now perfectly boiling water. James appeared in the doorway. "Mom, why don't you come sit? Dinner's almost ready." "I'm trying to help your wife," Constance sighed dramatically. "Someone needs to. Did you know she's attempting fresh pasta?" The confidence of the inexperienced never ceases to amaze me. I thought about the 3 years I'd spent in Italy, the stages in Michelin-starred kitchens that Constance knew nothing about. The pre-dawn hours perfecting techniques while she slept in her suburban mansion, secure in her superiority over her son's sweet but simple wife. Remember the Christmas dinner disaster? Constance settled back onto her stool, ready to recount my failures. The turkey was practically jerky. And the gravy, did we ever determine what went wrong with the gravy? What went wrong was her showing up 3 hours early, cranking up the oven because it didn't look hot enough, and adding flour to my perfectly balanced just because gravy should be thick, dear. "That was 4 years ago, Mom," James said gently. "Disasters like that linger, darling. Your father still talks about it at the club." She watched me strain the pasta with the critical eye of someone who'd never worked a professional kitchen. "Careful, you'll break the noodles. They look terribly fragile. This is why I stick to proven recipes from proven cooks." The irony wasn't lost on me as I plated the dishes with the same precision I used every night at Serafina, the restaurant Constance didn't know I owned. The one she'd probably never eat at because it was too trendy and overpriced for what's essentially peasant food. "Is this all we're having?" She poked at the perfectly al dente pasta with her fork. "Just noodles and sauce?" At home, I always serve at least 3 courses. Presentation matters, Natasha. I set down the additional plates. A burrata with roasted peach and prosciutto, fresh bread with cultured butter, a simple arugula salad with lemon vinaigrette. Each dish something I could execute in my sleep, but presented simply, without the flourishes that would mark them as professional. "Store-bought mozzarella?" Constance cut into the burrata, missing the telltale signs of handmade cheese. "And this bread is rather dense, isn't it? I have a wonderful bakery I could recommend. They deliver, which would save you the embarrassment of serving homemade attempts." James caught my eye, his expression pleading. "Just 1 more hour." We ate in relative silence, punctuated by Constance's helpful observations. The sauce needed sugar, it didn't. The pasta was overcooked, it was perfect. The salad was underdressed, it was balanced exactly to complement the richness of the other dishes. "You know," she said, dabbing her lips with her napkin, "I've been thinking. James, darling, what if I gave Natasha cooking lessons? Just the basics, how to boil water properly, simple knife skills, maybe work up to a decent roast chicken." "That's generous," James managed. "It's the least I can do. Every wife should know how to feed her family properly." My James was raised with certain standards. She smiled at me, the kind of smile that felt like a pat on the head. "We'll start next weekend. I'll bring my beginner's cookbook. Lots of pictures, very simple instructions. My phone buzzed again. 3 missed calls from my sous chef. The email notifications still blinked on the screen. Excuse me, I stood, picking up my phone. I need to take this. Probably ordering takeout for dessert. I heard Constance whisper to James as I stepped onto the back patio. The email opened with shaking fingers. Dear Chef Petrova, the Michelin Guide is pleased to inform you that Serafina has been awarded 3 Michelin stars in this year's guide. The announcement will be made public at tomorrow evening's ceremony. Your innovative approach to traditional Italian cuisine and exceptional technical skill particularly impressed our inspectors. 3 stars. The highest honor. Only a handful of restaurants in the entire country had 3 stars. I looked through the window at Constance, now explaining to James how I'd ruined the burrata by not serving it at the proper temperature. The same woman who'd spent 5 years telling anyone who'd listen that her daughter-in-law tries hard but just doesn't have the palate for fine cooking. My sous chef picked up on the first ring. Chef, did you see? 3 fucking stars. The press is already calling. The Times wants an exclusive. We're booked solid for the next 6 months within an hour of the leak. Keep it quiet until tomorrow, I said softly. The official announcement should come from Michelin. Chef, this is huge. You're the youngest woman to ever. Tomorrow, Marcus. Tonight, I'm just cooking dinner for my family. I returned to find Constance had moved on to dessert criticism, despite not having seen dessert yet. And that's why soufflés are simply beyond most home cooks. The precision required, the timing, the technique. It takes years to master. I wouldn't even attempt one, and I've been cooking for 40 years. I pulled 3 perfect chocolate soufflés from the oven, their tops risen exactly 2 inches above the ramekins, the centers molten and flowing. Oh, Constance stared at them. Well, they're probably overdone. Soufflés should jiggle slightly when. They're perfect, James interrupted, finally reaching his limit. Mom, just try it. She took a bite, and I watched her face go through several expressions, surprise, confusion, and finally, the thing she hated most, being wrong. It's adequate, she managed, though professionally trained chefs would probably find flaws. My phone rang. The caller ID showed my publicist. I declined the call. Who keeps calling? James asked. Work stuff, I said vaguely. The hospital? Constance perked up. Oh yes, James mentioned you do something with hospital food. Cafeteria work, isn't it? Well, that explains the institutional approach to cooking. I almost laughed. She'd taken my vague, I work in food service, and created her own narrative. James, respecting my wish for privacy about my career, had never corrected her. Something like that, I agreed. As Constance gathered her things, preparing for her weekly escape before dish duty, she paused at the door. Next Saturday, then? For your first lesson? We'll start with how to boil water properly. You can't even imagine how many people get that simple step wrong. Actually, I said, making a decision, I have a work event Saturday evening. Would you and Dad like to come? As my guests. She sniffed. A hospital cafeteria event? I suppose we could make an appearance, show support. Though I can't imagine what kind of event a cafeteria would host. It's at the Fairmont Hotel, I added. Black tie. That got her attention. The Fairmont? For cafeteria workers? It's an industry thing, I said. James will give you the details. After she left, trailing promises to bring her measuring cups. The secret to cooking is precision, dear. James pulled me into his arms. 3 stars, he guessed. I nodded against his chest. You could have told her, he said. Shut her down years ago. With what proof? I pulled back to look at him. She decided who I was the day we met. Young, unimpressive, not good enough for her son. Even if I'd told her I owned a restaurant, she would have assumed it was a failing sandwich shop. And now she gets to find out with 200 of the city's food elite watching her reaction. Saturday arrived with Constance in full form, calling 3 times to confirm the dress code. Are you sure it's black tie? For cafeteria workers. And offering to lend me jewelry. I have some costume pieces that look almost real. The Fairmont ballroom was already packed when we arrived. Constance, dripping in diamonds and condescension, immediately began scanning the crowd. Oh my, she whispered. Is that the food critic from the Times? And the mayor? What kind of cafeteria event is this? The important kind, I said, spotting Marcus near the stage. He gave me a thumbs up. Ladies and gentlemen, the Michelin Guide director took the stage. Welcome to this year's star announcement ceremony. Constance went very still. Michelin stars? But that's for real restaurants. Tonight, we have a very special announcement. For the first time in 5 years, we're awarding a new 3-star rating. The room buzzed with anticipation. 3 stars were legendary, career-defining, life-changing. This chef has redefined Italian cuisine for the modern age while honoring its deepest traditions. Self-taught through years of study in Italy, she brings both technical precision and innovative spirit to every dish. I felt Constance's eyes on me, saw the moment when neurons started firing, connections being made. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in congratulating Chef Natasha Petrova of Serafina, our newest 3-star chef. The spotlight found me as the room erupted. Fellow chefs applauding, critics nodding approval, photographers capturing the moment. But I only watched Constance. Her face was a masterpiece of emotional collapse. The soup spoon she'd been holding, why did she bring a spoon to a cocktail reception? Slipped from her fingers. As promised, it didn't just fall. It somehow bent on impact, the silver folding like it was giving up on structural integrity. But you, she sputtered as I moved toward the stage. You can't even boil water properly. Actually, I said, pausing beside her, I can. I can also make pasta from memory, butcher a whole animal, and create a soufflé that doesn't deflate when you criticize it. I just let you think otherwise because correcting you seemed exhausting. On stage, I accepted the award and gave the expected speech about passion and dedication. But I ended with something unexpected. I'd like to thank my mother-in-law, Constance Williams, who taught me that the most important ingredient in any kitchen is humility. Without her constant reminders that I wasn't good enough, I might have stopped pushing to be better. The crowd applauded, thinking it was heartfelt. Constance knew better. At the reception after, she found me surrounded by reporters and fellow chefs. She waited, clutching her bent spoon like evidence of a crime, until I was momentarily alone. How long? She asked quietly. How long have you been? A real chef? Always. An owner? 5 years. 3-star? About an hour. But the Christmas turkey was perfect until you fixed it. The pasta you criticized tonight? It's the same recipe that won me a James Beard Award. The burrata you called store-bought? I make 60 pounds of it weekly for the restaurant. She stared at me, then at her bent spoon, then back at me. I offered to teach you to boil water. I know. I brought measuring cups to your house. I saw. I told everyone at the club you were hopeless in the kitchen. I heard. Something shifted in her face then. Not quite an apology, but close. The soufflé was perfect, she admitted quietly. I knew it the moment I tasted it. Perfect technique. Perfect flavor. Perfect everything. Thank you. She straightened, some of her composure returning. Well, I suppose you won't be needing those cooking lessons. No, I agreed. But I could teach you to make pasta. Real pasta. From scratch. Her eyes widened slightly. An olive branch in the form of flour and eggs. I would like that, she said carefully. Though I should warn you, I'm a difficult student. I know, I smiled. I've been teaching you for 5 years. Every meal was a lesson. You just didn't know you were in class. As James appeared with champagne to toast the woman who couldn't boil water properly, I thought about all the dinners endured, all the criticisms swallowed, all the times I'd hidden my expertise behind silence. Sometimes the best revenge isn't proving someone wrong in the moment. Sometimes it's letting them marinate in their wrongness until the perfect moment to serve it back to them, perfectly seasoned with a side of public vindication. And sometimes, if you're very lucky, that moment comes with 3 Michelin stars and a bent soup spoon as a souvenir.